the 12th of January 2026. A very good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Anne Odida.
Yes, indeed. My name is Fred Indimuli, and it is the beginning of the second working week of 2026. Back to school, senior school students reporting this week, starting today till Friday. So alikuwa the very first cohort of CBE ndo wanaingia senior school this week. A lot also happening. There's a very huge announcement by one person who served in the cabinet of William Ruto, Eliud Owalo. He was ICT minister. Now he's announced that he's no longer working with government. He's resigned from another position he had been given, and he's running for president.
I'll see you. 2027.
2027 nakwambia mambo ni ile kubwa kubwa.
We're not ready, are we?
We are not ready. Are you ready? All right. So yes, these are the panelists this morning on State of the Nation. We'll be having quite a number of wakilis here. Ishmael Nyaribo, Joshua Nyamori, Honorable Senator Dr. Danson Mungatana is also an advocate to the High Court. Wote watakuwa hapa studio alongside Samuel Pogisio for the first time on this panel this year. So do stand by for that, taking a look at the dailies this morning. We move to mbona ile nyingine huyu jamaa mapienjia na this is what I was looking for.
Started here. Let's start off with the People Daily. Kalonzo versus Matiang'i, the battle for the 2027 opposition.
And you can realize we've gone back to politics because the Standard is talking about Junet's rough ride in ODM. Nasikia kuna coffee ilitembea mahali State House, but that is inside the tutakueleza tu baadaye.
All right. Taifa Leo, Oburu aita kikao kuzima moto ODM.
Hiyo moto imekataa kuzimika. Daily Nation have chosen something different. Why we won't be joining grade 10.
All right.
Okay.
Business Daily. Landowners eye windfall as 48 billion shillings set aside for SGR.
Well, wale bahati. And finally, The Star. Poor diets take 400 billion shillings toll on Kenya's economy. Yes. All right,
sasa twende boda kwanza, tuvuke boda, and then we'll come back to take a look at the local dailies in depth. We start off in Uganda, just one day to go. I think this is one day to the end of campaigns, right? But election is on January 15th.
15th, which should be, I think, Friday? Oh, Thursday. Thursday this
yes.
week. Yes.
So government releases 16.5 trillion shillings for third quarter. Ugandan economy projected to grow by 7%. This is the new vision. And surprise, today it's not yellow kama kawaida.
Hapa chini tumezoea kuona lakini kuna advertisement pale chini ya campaign ya NRM.
They say Uganda, let's keep moving forward. And of course kuna Museveni, the son, Kainerugaba.
And that is the funniest thing. You're campaigning for president and you include the chief of defense forces in your campaign banner.
Yeye ni mtoto, the rightful heir.
Si basi angetoa nguo military fatigues.
All right. Anyway. Conservation, rhino transfer, that's another story on the inside pages of the New Vision. Chagulanyi, Mafabi, Wunu voters, they've been given a small, section there on the front page of this newspaper. Election observers start arriving in Uganda. Matters health, how Biamukama recovered from sickle cell disease, that's a special feature they have there. 16-page defense supplement inside.
I'm telling you, if this was a newspaper in Kenya and it was one day to elections, hii yote ingekuwa ni IEBC.
Yeah. Ama they already know.
Hawa nikawa najua, but anyway. Still in Uganda, let's take a look at the Daily Monitor. The final bend, and at least this time round wameweka the top 4 candidates pale equally, kila mtu amepewa space, lakini unaona picha ya Museveni ni mrefu kidogo. State House hapo nyuma. So anasema as the 8 presidential candidates round the final bend to polling day on Thursday, the contestants retreat to their home cities to marshal support for the final showdown rallies today and tomorrow. So yes, you are very right. Tomorrow is the very last campaign day. Hata hapo anasema one day to go. So kesho wanamaliza campaign, wangoje kwenda kwa debe. Kuna characters pale kama Mafabi, au mwingine anaitwa nani,
Muntu, yes.
Mugisha Muntu. Yoweri Museveni na Chagulanyi aka Bobby Wine, wote wanataka kuingia kwenye nyumba kubwa pale State House Entebbe. So yes, matters elections given prominence on the front page of the Daily Monitor.
All right, tuvuke kule Tanzania, how trading body parts complicates war on FGM. How trade in body parts complicates war on FGM. This newspaper reveals how the existence of a clandestine trade in human body parts derived from female genital mutilation has complicated efforts to eradicate the harmful practice despite the presence of policies, laws and regulations outlawing it.
That's a very weird headline.
It is.
Because they're saying body parts, human body parts derived from female genital mutilation. There's a trade in that. Wow, interesting. That I've never heard of that.
First in my bloodline to hear of that. This story is a special report on page 4 and 5. It's quite interesting. I think we should look at it in depth as well. Because this is Tanzania, by the way, this is not Kenya. Sisi pia Kenya tumekuwa na issues of FGM, but I think we've been able to...
Yes, we're doing much better, but this is a very interesting angle. I didn't know there could be such derivatives from that.
Why Chinese foreign ministers visit matters in Tanzania, and they say Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi's visit to Tanzania has renewed the push to deepen political ties, unlock trade opportunities, and fast-track flagship infrastructure projects the two countries are collaborating in. That includes Tanzania and Zambia Railway,
Tazara,
among others. Zanzibar marks 62 years of progress in key sectors. That story is on page 2. Student develops tech to break disability barriers is another story on page 3. Kule juu, ZITF touted as small traders' gateway to international markets. That's the Citizen.
Alright. Habari hiyo ya ukeketaji bado ndio inapewa kipaumbele kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa Mwananchi. Wanasema mtandao wa ukeketaji. Ni ripoti maalum kwenye ukurasa wa 2 na wa 3 wa gazeti hili. Wanasema uchunguzi wa baini mnyororo wa wahusika, mamlaka za kiri kutojua uwepo wa biashara ya viungo vya siri baada ya ukeketaji. So whatever is cut off through FGM is actually sold. This is something very new. Kuna jamaa ananukuliwa hapa sema, na hichi ni chanzo cha habari, the source of this piece of news. Nilimwona mkeketaji akitoka kwenye sherehe ya kukata akiwa amebeba viungo vya siri kwenye ndoo. Nilipouliza niliambiwa vinachukuliwa kwa ajili ya kuhifadhiwa na baadaye kuuzwa. Now this okay. It's a big story. Ripoti maalum kule Tanzania. Habari zingine, mapinduzi yalivyoleta mabadiliko ya kisekta na kule Zanzibar. Miaka 62 ni idadi ya miaka tangu kufanyika kwa mapinduzi ya Zanzibar Januari 12 mwaka 1964. Mapinduzi 1964. Nimesema 19, samahani, kunradhi. Mapinduzi hayo yalihitimisha utawala wa kifalme. Masuala ya spoti hapa, Yanga versus Azam ni vita ya ushambuliaji na ulinzi, na pale chini sababu ununuzi kufanywa nje ya mfumo serikalini. Pale juu, kiama wezi wa vyama vya ushirika, cooperatives. Kuna wezi pale. Gazeti la Mwananchi kule Tanzania, lakini ni habari ya kutatanisha pale.
Alright, tuangalia hali ya anga sasa hivi tujue weather inakaa vipi.
Yes, and we have the representative areas across the country. We start off in the Mount Kenya region where we take a look at Nyeri. Yes, Nyeri this morning it's 13 degrees Celsius. The president was in Nyeri yesterday. Kama huwa mnasema President William Ruto haezi enda sijui wapi, alikuwa Nyeri kanisani jana. Odhaya kwanza. 13 degrees Celsius currently, and promises to be a chilly day. Highs of 23 degrees. A bit of precipitation expected. Wanasema pale manyunyu kidogo masaa ya afternoon, lakini not much really. This kind of temperatures will change as the week progresses, getting hotter. By Friday it will be 27 degrees the highs. So today it's partly cloudy in Nyeri, but comfortable weather.
Garissa 24 degrees this morning, feels like 26. It's a cloudy day but hot. Highs of 35 degrees in Garissa. Precipitation they say 10%, but this is a very hot day. Nothing, hakuna kitu hapa. This 35 degrees itakuwa periodically, itapungua, itapanda, itapungua, itapanda. That's Garissa.
Okay. Central Rift Valley areas in Nakuru, 13 degrees just like we've seen in Nyeri. Actually Nakuru just mirrors what we've seen in Nyeri. Highs of 23 degrees today, and that could change as well later in the week, getting as high as 25 degrees. No precipitation expected there in Nakuru today. Na ni kama hii imeanza kupata ile shida yake ya asubuhi. Kibaridi cha asubuhi.
Ipeleke tu pole pole, it's coming. Let's take a look at Kisumu now.
That's the Lake Victoria region.
Ama tuende Mombasa kwanza. Kisumu bado ni kama kuna joto kule, imesema wacha iload kidogo.
Ule jamaa wa PNG alikanyaga waya, alikuwa maeneo haya.
Mombasa 24 degrees this morning. It's a cloudy day. Feels like 26 this morning. Highs of 30 degrees. So it's a very hot day in Mombasa as well. Precipitation is 10%. It kutanyesha, as you can already see this projection. This 30 degrees is the weather throughout this week. Into the weekend, it will hit just by 1 degree to 31.
All right.
Kisumu ni kama itagi tuiangalie.
Ikikataa tutajua.
Okay, let's see. But it's very, very hot in Kisumu.
Kwa maeneo ya OCL.
Yes. You see?
Ni kama imekataa. Tuende Nairobi.
Sababu ya hiyo kitu umesema. Finally.
Nairobi is 15 degrees Celsius this morning. They say it is a cloudy day, highs of 25 degrees. Comfortable weather for Nairobi. Very little, if at all, precipitation expected. Last week tulisema it will get hot this week. Yes, indeed. From today, kesho it gets hotter, 26. Wednesday, 27. By Friday, into the weekend, 28 degrees. By next week, tuko 29. So January is getting hotter. Sufikiria ati kijibaridi cha asubuhi, ngoja uone. So that's the weather situation across most of the regions. Let's come back and take a look at the traffic situation in the city.
6 minutes, that's 6 a.m.
Yes, just like we saw last week when most schools were reopening, we do expect a bit of that this week as well, as many people report to senior schools across the country. So a lot of travel expected, na magari yote yanachukuliwa pale CBD. So as you can see, quite a bit of traffic build-up on roads like the Haile Selassie Avenue, Landis Roundabout, Railways Roundabout, Muthurwa and Machakos bus station there. Makadara is building up slowly, but Jogoo Road is comfortable today. What I've seen getting busy is Kangundo Road, areas around Saika, Kayole, Comarox. You can see dots here and there of yellow and red, so that road is getting busy on both sides of the road. Thika Road is looking good all the way from Ruiru up until you get to the Pangani interchange. Kiambu Road also is looking good. Pangani interchange is not so bad this morning. The other roads into town, Mombasa Road, Waiyaki Way, and the others are looking good this morning. Not much of a problem when it comes to traffic this Monday morning. Ama ni vile tumejaribu kuangalia mapema zaidi.
All right, we'll be back to take a look at it. Pale 6:25,
Yes.
6:13. Let's have the quarter video.
Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken.
All right, let's come back and take a look at the local dailies end of the bet.
There was this one we didn't take a look at, and it's the East African, the weekly release, and of course, biggest focus in the region is elections in Uganda. We might be looking at that. We saw how problematic, how the kind of upheaval we saw in Tanzania. We don't know if we should expect anything like that in Uganda, but definitely something to talk about. So they talk about the hopes, fears as Ugandans vote. Businesses put up contingency plans to beat potential internet economy shutdown in crucial vote as Museveni takes last race. Just like the internet was shut down in Tanzania, we do expect it might happen in Uganda. And if this trend continues, should we expect to see the same in Kenya next year? Yeah. Anyway, that's a big story there. Other stories, a bad week for Africans everywhere, of course linked to Donald Trump. Inside food aid theft cartels in Juba and Somalia. And those are the main stories given prominence this region. It is one of those that I should be discussing with my panelists later on this morning. But let's come and take a look at the local dailies.
People Daily, Kalonzo versus Matiang'i, the battle for the 2027 opposition ticket. This story is on page 4, decisive moment. They're just doing an analysis of, the opposition politics. Are they united?
They use that tag, united opposition.
But are they united?
It's interesting now with the entry of a new presidential candidate, Eli Dowalo. Will he be joining this movement, or will he go it alone? And what does it mean for Nyanza, surely, having a presidential candidate? They've had Raila Odinga as a presidential candidate for decades now. Without Raila Odinga, no one else from that region had offered.
Oburu Odinga?
Was he? Okay, fine. Yeah.
Ashasema.
But yeye alisema if at all ODM will have a presidential candidate, it will be me.
ODM will have a presidential candidate. They're on record.
Yeah. So it's interesting. They call it a decisive moment.
On the top strip with Joho next, it's a question they're asking. They say Coast Power brokers hint at ODM's post-Raila future. That's another story on page 5. Joho alisema anatosha ku lead ODM.
Yeah. Sasa wewe mwenye umesema anataka kuwa president, ashakuwa opposed.
Anyway, another story here. Uganda at a crossroads, why January 15 poll tests region stability. And that's the People Daily.
All right. The Standard, and still matters ODM, because this story is not going away. Junet's rough ride. The Standard wame maintain hapo kwa Junet. So asema tukuachi. So they talk about retribution as a country gradually gets used to referring to the country's most vibrant politician in past tense. The after effects of Raila Odinga's demise in October last year are turning into a nightmare for some who appear to have hung on to his coattails to make a political career through ODM. National Assembly Minority Leader Junet Mohammed continues to be hit by myriad accusations, from never winning any nominations in Migori to using his closeness with BAMBA to cause problems for others as some revive old quarrels. Now this story, if you read it, inasemekana kuna wakati mmoja hapa State House Nairobi. Kuna huyu mwanasiasa alikuwa pale na mwanasiasa mwingine akakuja. Kamuuliza, mmoja kauliza mwingine, wewe nani akupatia ruhusa kuja hapa State House? How did you gain access? Hapo kashati kakatembea hivi kidogo, jamaa moja kazabu wa coffee. Iko kwa hiyo story. That story is on page 4. Wewe soma, usisema ati ni mimi nilisema nani alipiga. Mimi sijakwambia nani alipigwa coffee. Soma. Page 4, State House slap exposes Junet's troubles in ODM as cracks widen. That's a big story to be discussed by so many people. Yes. New dawn as CBE learners join senior school is a story on page 3. Remember, it's been the biggest discussion. Rigathi Gachagua akisema watu wasomee kwao, kila mtu arudi kwao. Interestingly, I've seen a lot of talk from residents of Northeastern. Saying, okay, fine, we may not like Rigathi Gachagua that much, but kuna kaukweli amesema hapo. Hiyo pesa mnapeleka South Sea na Eastleigh. Huku Northeastern hakuna shule na hakuna hospitali. That's a good debate to have.
They're even hugging trees so that their leaders can see them.
Yes.
And see the stations of Northeastern.
Exactly. I think that's the best. And hiyo imeweka our leaders in a corner.
Yes.
Because they were coming out and saying, oh, this person is tribal. Hata kama ni tribal, kuna kitu amesema hapo. Amesema ukweli.
A very good argument that he started.
Yes.
And you know, bado watu wana pull that tribal card. It's not about, I think that's what accountability looks like.
Yes.
What Rigathi Gachagua did and said.
You can't simply tell him, oh, you're tribal. Okay, fine. What about what he has said? Kuna ukweli hapo. Because the best thing would have been that these politicians come out and say, no, you're lying. Angalia hii shule. No. Hapo umedanganya ndio hiyo hospitali. Unasema tu, oh, you're tribal.
They said, they also disputed that not all of them live in Nairobi. And they made that press conference here in Nairobi.
They were all in Nairobi making the press in Nairobi saying we don't live in Nairobi.
They don't live in Nairobi.
I tell you.
You know, I think it can't be tribal if we take a look at Nyanza and Western regions. Very good schools.
Oh, yes. In fact, most of the good schools are in Western and Nyanza.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if we have better schools like not better per se, but we have good schools in Mangu, Alliance.
Those legacy schools.
Yes. Yeah. In Mount Kenya, we equally have good schools.
Tukue na shule nzuri kila mahali. That's all people are saying. Let's have good schools everywhere. So those are the main stories there on the front page of the Standard. On the back page matters sports. Flying start for Kenya as it tops medal table at the 2026 World Cross. So yesterday, Kenya took 9 medals, 3 gold, 4 silver, and 2 bronze. Ahead of Ethiopia with 7, Uganda with 7, Australia with 1, France 1, Japan 1. And you have a picture there of Franklin Kibet celebrating after winning gold in the World Cross Country Men's Under-20 contest. Agnes Ngetich win the senior women's race at the World Cross Country in Florida, USA. Congratulations to Team Kenya for their heroics in Florida. That's a Standard.
All right. We take a look at the Daily Nation now. Why we won't be joining grade 10. And they say as thousands of students report to their new schools today, a different reality confronts many of their peers across the country. Despite excelling in the Kenya Junior School Education Assessment, they now face a painful truth. Their academic success may not lead to progression to senior school because their families cannot afford school fees. Futures deemed. Education PSB talk assures all learners will report to school, cites various bursaries. They here na zile shule ambazo wameitwa Sinyolo Girls, Murang'a High School, Matuga Girls High School, Gaishanjiru High, Ngandu Girls High School, among other good schools here, Kaimosi, Nguvi Alliance, Murang'a, Lela. Why they won't be joining grade 10 because of school fees?
Umesikia hizo shule ziko wapi? Rudia tu kuna zile ziko
Kaimosi, Nguvi, Murang'a, Sinyolo, Mutuga, Alliance, Murang'a, Lela, Ngandu.
Wale wanasema wameekelewa na si ukweli. Hizo shule ziko. Mbona hatusikii shule upande zingine za nchi?
Waache mchezo, waende watengeneze shule wewe.
Apparently there are national schools in those areas, like there's Garwatula High School.
It's a national school?
It is a national school, but we don't get people really getting interested in going to that school. And I think that's the issue. Everyone wants to go to these other places, including Bungoma High School.
All right, so it looks like hata capitation is this idea.
Nani hao? You see now the problem is, and this is another, and today I know I've been critical about the kind of stories that the Daily Nation has been picking, but this one is definitely timely because senior school people, learners are reporting to schools this week. Of course, it's going to be a big discussion. The promise that the government will, one way or the other, ensure that everyone shows up in school and everyone is accounted for. Is it 100% that guarantee that we will see that?
Yeah.
Because we've had a lot of promises from the president, now the CS. The thing is, these learners here have outperformed themselves. They've done very well, meaning that they've been admitted to senior schools that are not necessarily in their home areas. Because they will be told, kama huwezi afford shule, so uende 2 day school yenye iko karibu na nyumbani.
Yes.
Lakini huyo amepita, ameitwa
Alliance, Murang'a.
What will happen to them if they're not able to report and pay the fee? Because shule watai kujua, shule wanakuambia ukija, you better pay. Na usipolipa, by next week your slot inaenda.
100% transition, CBE. Anyway,
it's a big discussion there.
All right, other quick headlines. Ruto to Mount Kenya voters, I will not abandon you. This is a story on page 10. President William Ruto has assured residents of the politically restive Mount Kenya region that he will not abandon them as he seeks re-election in 2027, recalling their decisive role in his 2022 general election victory. Dr. Ruto said his relationship with Mount Kenya is built on a firm foundation anchored in a shared transformation agenda.
Interesting, you know, when he was going to Mount Kenya in 2022 for the campaigns there, he used the church. Yesterday he was back in church in Odhaya. And I don't know if he's hoping that that same route will endear him to Mount Kenya again. Interesting.
Kenya keeps the overall title but rivals closing gap. We are top. We top the overall medal table in Tala. What is it called? In
Florida.
The US.
Yes, Florida.
9 medals, 3 gold, 4 silver, and 2 bronze. That's another story on the back page. ODM convenes meeting amid Oburu ouster plots. There's a story on the top strip. The political infighting within the ODM has escalated, with the party set for a critical crisis meeting amid an alleged plot to oust CIS Senator Oburu Oginga as party leader. The ongoing tough wars have forced the party's top organ, that is the Central Management Committee, to retreat to the coast today for a meeting that could either calm the simmering tensions or intensify them ahead of the 2027
And that's the most interesting bit, that they're going where? To the coast.
Yes.
That party, when they were marking their 20th anniversary, where did they do it? At the coast. Last week when they had what would have been the 81st birthday party for Raila Odinga, although the Odinga family had a party here in Nairobi, coast leaders had their own special party, where they declared that Ali Hassan Joho is their leader and he should take over the running of the party. Sasa kukiwa na shida, wanapeleka hiyo meeting wapi? Coast. mutashanga.
You know, I heard Babu Owino is also contesting for the party leader of ODM.
Aende Coast pia. Hiyo mkutano
ni kumoto huko.
Hii ni kama imeenda. Hii imeenda.
All right, that's the Daily Nation.
All right. Taifa Leo, habari ile ya ODM. So it means it is the biggest discussion. Junet, shida huko watu wanazabana makofi State House. Huku mikutano ndio hiyo front page ya Daily Nation. It is the biggest story on the Taifa Leo. Oburu aita kikao kuzima moto ODM. ODM kuandaa kikao cha kamati kuu Kilifi leo, huku vitisho vya kumtimua kinara wao vikiendelea kutolewa. Hata yeye mwenyewe mbona unajipeleka kichinjio huko? The person who's looking to oust you ni huko Coast.
Amesema hapa very confident.
Alafu unajipeleka huko ati ndo mkutano ifanyike huko.
Amesema I'm a challenge. I challenge them to come for the NDC. I am not afraid and I will call it very soon.
If you ask me, this one politically hapo because such an NDC you should hold it very far from Mombasa or Kilifi. Hold it in Nairobi for example. Alafu kila mtu, even wale wanakuja kutoka Coast, wanakuja, this is fair ground. Yeah. Anyway, kikao cha leo kinajiri baada ya baadhi ya wanachama ODM kutaka kongamano la wajumbe NDC liandaliwe kujadili uhalali wa uongozi wa Oburu. Pia mtafaruku kuhusu ushirikiano wa ODM na UDA unatarajiwa kujadiliwa. Hii chama, I don't know. Do you see ODM holding?
No.
Till 2027?
No.
Hata sijamaliza swali.
No. The answer is no. Wanapigana sana. Every day something new.
Hii vita imezidi. Magwanga kuendea kiti cha Wanga. Huyu ni deputy governor wa Homa Bay. Sasa anataka hiyo kiti ya boss. Sababu boss alimtimua, akamfungia ofisi.
Alafu boss aende wapi?
Huyu ni chairman wa ODM. Uhasama unatarajiwa kuongezeka, naibu gavana akiahidi kushindana na boss wake mwaka 2027. Kahiga naye amemruka Gachagua. Jana alikuwa na rais akasema mimi sijai toka UDA, mtu asiseme nilitoka UDA. Ajabu mtetezi sugu wa Rigathi akisema anaunga mkono UDA na Rais Ruto. Masuala ya AFCON, nusu finali ya wazito AFCON, Senegal kuonana na Misri, huku Nigeria ikitifuana na wenyeji Morocco. Inakaa imeenda tu upande mmoja. Kule juu, Iran yaahidi kulipiza kisasi kwa Amerika, na changamoto za grade 10 wakifungua leo. Historia wakijiunga na sekondari pevu, ila hofu kuhusu walimu na vifaa imezagaa. Habari kamili kwenye ukurasa wa pili.
All right. Business Daily. Landowners eye windfall as 48 billion shillings set aside for SGR. Now they say the government is set to contribute 47.5 billion shillings towards the total estimated cost of extending the SGR from Naivasha to Malaba on the Ugandan border, with a big chunk of the amount expected to be spent on land acquisition. A big chunk to be spent on land acquisition. A fresh report published by the Treasury estimates that construction of the SGR line will cost 502.9 billion Kenyan shillings. 502 billion shillings.
Oh yes.
Kujenga SGR.
Bora tukuwe na SGR.
Now, President William Ruto's government expects to secure most of the financing, about 455.35 billion, from undisclosed foreign investors. That's the reason, page 2. Ministry is hit by the exit of 18,674 employees in 3 years. And the number of civil servants on permanent and pensionable terms has declined by nearly 19,000 in the first 3 years of President William Ruto's government. Is that a good thing?
Well, inamaanisha kuna, unajua ile natural attrition. Watu wana retire, wengine wanaaga dunia. So it means probably, and recruitment terms, especially the public service, have changed. So you're permanent and pensionable. Wengi wanachukua hizi short-term contracts, even within the public service. Yeah.
All right, on the ticker, Singapore, Hungary pay top prices for Kenyan coffee. Isuzu East Africa wins 7 billion shillings police vehicles lease contract. And the Nairobi Security Exchange, second in Africa with 52% dollar returns in 2025. That's the business deal.
All right. The Star, something totally different. Yes, they make mention of the World Cross Country Championships in Florida, where Kenya emerged top of the table medal standings. But the main story is about malnutrition. Poor diets are taking 400 billion shillings toll on Kenya's economy. And this is about malnutrition, which is reducing physical strength and mental capacity. Probably inaleta shida ya, unajua kuna mental health issues sasa zinazidi kuongezeka. Tuangazie hiyo kurasa page 4 and 5. Do you believe that this 400 billion shilling is actually 10% of our GDP? No, not GDP, of our annual budget. So
poor diet.
Poor diet. Pages 4 and 5. Watu wanakula vibaya. Total economic impact of poor diet, 400. So it is a health crisis, they say. Nearly 80% of Kenyans cannot afford a balanced diet. That's according to the World Bank and Food Organization. At least 3.5 million Kenyans are obese, with women leading at 2.7 million and men at 760. Wanaume wamejaribu. Nearly 4 out of 10 deaths in Kenya are due to malnutrition. That's close to half. 40%. Malnutrition leads to non-communicable diseases such as diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Non-communicable diseases account for 39% of all deaths, over 50% of hospital admissions, and 55% of hospital deaths. Total cost of a balanced diet in Kenya is 549 shillings. One balanced diet. And poor diet costs developed nations, Kenya included, up to 20% of productivity. We never look at this. Kukula chakula vibaya, the kind of impact it may have.
549.
Yes.
How many can afford?
A balanced diet. Yeah.
A lot of Kenyans still live below the poverty level.
Hata wewe kwa lunch yako leo umepanga 549.
Wacha nikwambie. Utashangaa sana.
Yeah. You cannot dislodge me in Mount Kenya, Ruto tells Gachagua. It's another story there on page 9. That's the Star.
All right. Once again, State of the Nation. Lakini tuangalie karikacha kwanza. This is the Star. President William Ruto has been caricatured here. Ameshikilia pale results, how he has performed so far. Kuna security pale amepata D+. Economy na roads, E. Health, D. Education, C-. Housing amepita, A.
Anaenda Singapore International School.
Singapore.
Singapore International School.
That's the Star.
Right. This one is a standard. Kuna jamaa hapa anahag mti. Ni kama unasema siku hizi if you want something go hug a tree.
Go hug a tree.
So they have a caricature of people in ODM leadership and the rank and file. We have the party leader there looking back at someone who's hugging a tree. Anasema I'm fit to lead ODM. Hug a tree. Ali Hassan Joho. Alafu anachukua NDC wanaipeleka huko coast. We mtaona moto. That's a standard.
This is the Daily Nation. I wonder who this is.
This is a caricature, I believe, of the president. Because Harry, the cartoonist who anaandika, so hapa anasema Kenyan politics 2025, Kenyan politics 2024. He's stepping on hot coal.
Oh yeah. All heated to toxic levels, but here I come, 2026. Oh, okay.
Finally, the People Daily, and I find this cartoon very confusing. Because they talk about this trophy, 2025 KCP. We did not have a KCP in 2025. We had KGSEA. And this trophy has KCSEA and KCSEE. Alafu anasema the only tournament where everyone is a winner. I don't know. I did not understand this. Probably one of this should have been KGSEA. Yeah. So those are the cartoons today, meaning that some of the biggest discussions are about education, but ODM is still a big discussion. ODM and what is going to happen to it is a big discussion. Plus, there's this tweet. I think this is also going to be a big discussion. Eliud Owalo, he resigned. Initially, yesterday, he announced that he was going to be to run for president in 2027. Then, later at night, he sent out this tweet. Resignation as a Deputy Chief of Staff, Delivery and Government Efficiency. So he says, following my declaration earlier today that I intend to run for presidency of the Republic of Kenya in the year 2027, my position as a Deputy Chief of Staff and Delivery and Government Efficiency is no longer tenable. I have therefore resigned from the position with immediate effect. It's the same thing that happened to former CS Moses Kuria, who also resigned after he was given a unajua alitolewa cabinet alafu akaekwa advisor. Huyu pia amefanya hivyo. Wako nje running for president. Big discussion.
Well, all right. So, State of the Nation.
Yes, after the break we'll be having these four gentlemen in studio, Wakili Ishmael Nyaribo, Wakili Joshua Nyamori, Senator Danson Mungatana, and Samuel Pogisio, who served in the Senate as well as a cabinet under Mwai Kibaki. They'll be helping us look at the headlines after the break.
All right, Monday Blitz will be coming up next after that. But there's something interesting admin ameuliza hapa. Millennials, Aisha Speed mlimjua kweli ama tuliwachwa na Gen Z? Ulikuwa unajua Aisha Speed?
Mimi nimeona tu Aisha Speed. Kwanza top trend naangalia na shanga.
Ni nani?
Huyu jamani amefanya nini?
You know?
Amekuja anataka nini?
Let me tell you, the streets were buzzing yesterday. Nilikuwa Google na shanga, who is Aisha Speed?
I was actually going through X and I couldn't understand what's going on. Aisha Speed.
Na ukimwangalia vibaya watakupata hapo Twitter.
And I'm told he has a lot of male supporters. The number of male supporters is higher than even female supporters.
Kabisa. So, watu wanasema pale, Wakarasi anasema listening from Kisii. Frederick Malala anasema millennials msipewe stress na Aisha Speed. Nyinyi fuatilieni tu Diana na Bahati.
Hapana, hiyo tumekataa, hiyo nimekataa.
Wacha wewe. Emily Peter anauliza who is he? Good question. Nick Max simujui. Blessed Alan anasema hawamjui. Advisor Pastor Emmanuel anasema good morning, Kitengela well represented.
Kwa wapi kwingine? Najaribu kutafuta hiyo nyingine. Nimepata. Abel Kipruto Kogo anasema good morning. Gaylord Mails live from Bungoma, Bumala Siboti. Advisor Pastor Emmanuel Barasa. Good morning, Kitengela well represented. Ndego wa Nyandaro anasema nyama tamu products at butchery. Huyu anajaribu tu kuuza nyama. Daktari Hamza wa kienyeji anasema watching live 100%. Thank you so much for keeping it TV47 Morning Cafe.
All right, interact with us on our socials, TV47 Kenya on Facebook and on YouTube, on X, TV47 Digital. My handle is at @An_Odida. The hashtag is Morning Cafe TV47.
My handle on X is at Fred Indimuli. See you after the break.
No more excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Oma every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. Only on TV47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach. Only on TV47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gas. Betty, I didn't know where this guy's going.
Walikutoka.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments.
Mimi ni simpa. Hiyo naona kubali.
Wewe ni simpa.
Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV47.
This is Kenya's #1 talk show, Dr. Ferike tonight. My name is the Eagle himself. Dr. Ferike is my name.
We are flipping the script, but guess what? Or should I say, guess who is taking over tonight's show?
Ani wewe furahia umekaa na kasukuma. CP unit ni
Punet. So you guys knew about
Piga.
Sawa basi. Sema, that don't give you the whole time.
I don't want to go back to brokenness.
Never.
I just love the high life. Siwezi taka kuimagine ati nimesota.
You'll have to watch to find out. Tune in every Wednesday from 7:30 p.m. Enjoy uninterrupted live streaming of your favorite programs on TV 47 and Radio 47 on the go with our new mobile-friendly website. Experience the future of broadcasting. Visit www.tv47.digital or scan this QR code and stream your way to endless news and entertainment. Welcome to the home of untold stories.
Next time you need fresh lemon juice, microwave a lemon for 7 to 10 seconds. Then roll the lemon back and forth under your palm on the counter. When you squeeze, you'll get more juice from the lemon with way less effort.
Start your day with Relationship Wednesday from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. with Ann Odida. Dive deep into the dynamics of love, friendship, and family as we explore the stories that shape our connections. Then satisfy your appetite with Tasty Wednesday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where Anne serves up delicious recipes, cooking tips, and the latest food trends to inspire your next meal. Relationship Wednesday and Tasty Wednesday every Wednesday 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on Morning Cafe.
On Thursday, the January 15th, 2026, at least 21,681,491 registered Ugandan voters across 146 districts will head to 50,739 polling stations nationwide to elect their next president from the 8 presidential candidates in the 2026 general election. Last Thursday, the chairperson of the Electoral Commission, Justice Simon Byabakama, flagged off trucks carrying ballot papers and other electoral materials, marking the start of the nationwide distribution exercise ahead of the polling day. Now, the presidential race has attracted 8 presidential candidates, but the fiercest competition is between the 43-year-old Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, popularly known as Bobi Wine, a musician turned politician representing the main opposition political party, the National Unity Platform, and the 81-year-old incumbent President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni of the ruling National Resistance Movement. President Museveni, who has ruled Uganda for 40 years, is seeking a 7th term in office. However, the election campaign period has recently been marred by violence and tension, particularly targeting opposition candidate Bobi Wine. Security forces have on several occasions blocked him from accessing his designated campaign venues. Now, speaking on the matter at the Makerere University, political historian and analyst Professor Mwambutsia Ndebesa described the situation as a case of selective application of justice.
Even in terms of campaigns, certain candidates, especially Kyagulanyi of NUP, has been also delayed at roadblocks. And then when it is coming to 6, they say, now you can pass. And then they stop him again and say, but it is past 6 p.m. But then you delayed him at the roadblock. I think that is also another injustice by the police. So the parliament, the electoral commission, the judiciary, the police, all these institutions involved in electoral governance have been delaying justice, and ultimately that is subverting justice.
Over the weekend, Bobi Wine's chief mobilizer Habib Wembo was arrested just 4 days before the polling day, raising further concern among opposition supporters. Meanwhile, the opposition has expressed outrage following a new wave of disqualifications of the already nominated candidates by the Electoral Commission. So far, at least 11 opposition parliamentary candidates have been disqualified, a move that has sparked protests and criticism. One, that we did not submit a minimum of 20 registered voters from each electoral area. And this is not true. For us, we have more than 20 from each electoral area. Number two, some of our supporters, that they supported other candidates.
Yes, indeed. The elections in Uganda happening on Thursday this week, a big discussion today, of course, given what we saw in Tanzania in late October last year. And that's where we want to start for State of the Nation this morning with my panelists, Samuel Pogisio, who served as ICT Minister in the Kibaki II administration, as Majority Leader in the Senate in the 12th Parliament, Senator West Pokot back then, and also earlier before that, MP Kacheliba. Bwana Pogisio, karibu sana. It's your first time here this year, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, happy New Year.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes. Alongside Bwana Pogisio, we have Dr. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River County. Karibu sana, Bwana Mungatana.
Thank you. Good morning, Kenya.
Yes, let's start off on that note, just looking at the regional elections and the kind of democracy or lack thereof that we witness. A lot has been said about what happened in Tanzania, especially on election day, and even after that, before that, how the opposition was handled by the ruling administration. How different is it in Uganda, Bwana Pogisio? I know from where you come from, you neighbor Uganda very closely, and you understand probably the politics there. How different is it this time around in as far as handling of opposition candidates in Uganda?
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much. I come from a border with Uganda. I lived in Uganda. I understand Uganda very well. I don't know if my voice is betraying me, but is it clear?
Yes, we can hear you very well.
Yeah, so I come from an area that I understand. And I've watched Ugandan politics from the days when I was a student at Makerere University. And we've said it here, that the level of intolerance for opposition is creeping into our region so badly. And our Uganda is no exception. The way we handle the opposition is usually to present it as the enemy rather than as a competitor. And I think that's what is going to happen. It happened in Tanzania. It's probably going to happen in Uganda. It's going to happen because this is the way we have looked at opposition. And so our definition of opposition needs to change. People need to understand that the person who is opposing you has got exactly what it takes to become the president of the country. Mm-hmm. That's how they come to the level where they become candidates cleared by all the institutions that need to clear people. That person is capable of becoming the next president of the country, not the enemy of the people. Mm-hmm. And that person has enough strength and support to become what you are. And the problem with incumbency is that you would think nobody else can handle what you are doing. And so in Uganda, as elections are coming, fortunately for us in the region, East Africa region, our elections follow each other. Mm-hmm. So we start with Tanzania, we come to Uganda, and then the following year we have Kenya. So we're just good neighbors, we follow each other. I have watched how the opposition is handled in Uganda. You've seen Kizza Besigye and his situation where he is. Kyagulanyi, the way he's running around and being blocked everywhere. You'll find that he has, he's a very strong-willed, to become a candidate in Uganda, in Kenya, in Tanzania, to become an opposition candidate, you are literally forced to be a fighter. You are literally forced to be defiant. You are literally forced to because you're blocked everywhere. You are blocked. So I do understand what's happening there. And much as we say that the current president of Uganda, who has been there now for 40 years, and his party, they are now campaigning on a theme that they are protecting the gains, protecting the gains made, which is a good thing. I mean, that's a campaign slogan, protecting your gains. But the chance for somebody else to make those gains is not given. So you're protecting your gains, and you're not allowing other people to make those gains. So I do understand very much what's going to happen. The 15th of this month, they are going to the polls to elect the president and to elect the members of parliament. The situation in Uganda is such that the ruling party, which is NRM, has its own flag bearers. But those who did not get elected as flag bearers remain as independents, but they call themselves an NRM-leaning independents. So they're competing among themselves. Now, if they split the votes with the independents and those who are flag bearers, you'd wonder if Museveni's votes will be split. Because once you are NRM leaning, but you're not the flag bearer, we don't know exactly whom you're going to vote for in the different dispensations. But so that's the challenge which they have. The opposition there has been kept away from campaigning, so I don't know how they'll perform. Yeah. But I've realized that the younger people and the urban people are very. They seem to be supporting the opposition very much.
And sometimes we may think that in Kenya we are very different as far as how we conduct our politics, but we're seeing more and more of the same. Last Friday we saw the former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua, who had a meeting in Nyaga, having that disrupted by police and goons. And is it a trend across the region that yes, once you're in power, all the agencies of the state, including the police, appear to be working for you? Against the opposition.
It is again is the way that we define opposition. Is the opposition leader protected in this country? Is the opposition leader given? If you are in other countries, in the other democracies, once you declare you are the presidential or you are the leader of opposition, you are protected. You are given security. You are deemed as a possible president for the country. You see that we have to start looking at that and seeing then what you mean. I mean, you can't be protected when you are when police and goons are sent after you. Sometimes very confusing because once you're given security, which is government security, and then the police still come after you. And sometimes you would wonder, do you want these security guys to confront each other? What is it that you want from us? So literally, my understanding, and I think this is what we need to do in this country, is protect the president as much as you can, the leader at the moment. Give him all that he needs. But let us make sure that we consider the people who oppose as potential presidents in this country. The united opposition right now, we don't know who is their leader. But once they choose their candidate, we should give them the respect that is needed to make sure that the people understand that you are cut from this cloth called Kenyan. You have prepared yourself over the years to become what a candidate is. These guys actually invest. They invest a lot of time and money to become the leader of a party. It's not easy. So how we bring that together. And you can say anything about them. You can dismiss them in rallies, but take care of them because these are the people who have held the country together. Without them, supposing they were not there, what would happen? So they are actually holding a section of the community together to present them to an election. Right. So let's treat them well. And I think I saw a bit of that. I don't want to say we are better. There are other places that are worse. So I don't want to say we are better in handling these things. But this thing is creeping into our society. The intolerance is creeping into this.
Dr. Mungetana, even from a Pan-African perspective, there are many questions to be asked about the level of democracy in neighboring democracies. Like Tanzania, we saw what happened. Even our own president criticized the outcome, saying that it's not normal for anyone to actually get 98% in a proper democracy. But in Uganda, we're seeing more and more of the same. What is your perspective about the elections being held in Uganda this week?
Yeah, so thank you. I was in Uganda, Kampala, to be specific, in the month of December. We as parliamentarians, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania, South Sudan, and all these other countries, we DRC and Rwanda and Burundi, we hold annual meetings in rotating capitals so that we can promote the East African community spirit. This is through games. And I happen to be the chair of the Senate Committee for Sports. And Honorable Kawaya is my counterpart in the National Assembly. So we co-chair the executive. So when we went to Kampala, this time Kampala was hosting for us. We were able to observe exactly what is happening. Of course, we are doing the official things, but we are also living in a society. And I was very keen about the elections. They said the elections in Uganda are going to be held on the 15th of January, 2026. And everybody was tense, including our colleagues, member of parliaments in Uganda, who we were supposed to participate in games with. I play basketball, so we were talking a lot with our colleagues on the other side, and they were saying how tense the situation is. Watching the local media, I had the opportunity of listening to sitting member of parliament and some of the people in Gulu area in Uganda. And they say, this is where Museveni started his campaigns. This is where he pushed until he became president. This is where he gave us a lot of promises in this place. But we have seen nothing. Our fathers have lived through that time and we have seen nothing. So for us, we are going to vote against NRM. But when they came to try and arrange a rally, the typical things happened. Police were present there. The local organizers were saying, we booked this venue. We were told it's not available. We confirmed another venue. In fact, it was a school compound. The last minute they were told they were not available. So they said here, our candidate for National Unity Party, Robert Chagulani, Bobby Wine, he will come, and irrespective of whatever, we will come, and if we have to hold the rally on the road, we shall do it. So that was one example of some of the many practical things that were being complained by the candidates who are on the ground. I also witnessed another situation where people were saying, look, why are polling stations being created inside a barracks? How is it possible?
Military barracks.
Yes. So we are the people here. Why we have restrictions accessing that place. Why should we be told that there's a polling station there? And we ourselves, as the locals in this place, we cannot actually go there. And the Electoral Commission came out to say, no, you know, all these places are public places. Everybody will be allowed to go to these places and things like that. But then another issue, somebody was saying, this is a place where, another place now, where it is only the Chinese who are doing some, there's some manufacturing going on, and it's only accessible through controlled processes. But they were being told, this is another polling station we have created. Now, the locals were raising the issue, look, how do we go inside that place? And it is controlled by a certain person. So the issues were raised to the Electoral Commission that we are afraid that we cannot access some of the areas that are supposed to be free and fair for us to be able to participate in this voting. So I'm telling you reality. I even sat through the public debate for the presidential candidates. I happen to have been within the same premises where they were being held. And I tell you, the candidates they have brilliant ideas. Some of them very, on the other side, they really want like change and revolution. Some of them believe it can be done softly from where President Museveni is, but some of them are saying, no, we must have complete and total change, and beautiful ideas about how we need less involvement of police in this. We need people to be given more freedom. We need security. We need freedom of expression in this country, and we need change. So there were, I witnessed wonderful debates, but President Museveni did not come for that debate. What I can say is that looking at Uganda now and the elections I observed personally, I don't know about what other people said, even whatever the Uganda Human Rights Commission, what they said, the United Nations Human Rights Commission, my general observation, plus civil society, the activists, including the government MPs and those who are defending their seats, those who are pro-Museveni, I can tell you that this is a number of years behind Kenya. Where Kenya was many years ago, this is where Uganda is. The atmosphere of campaign, the atmosphere of freedom of expression, the atmosphere of police involvement, trailing of candidates, surveillance of candidates, intimidation of voters, doing things that the Electoral Commission just comes and says, no, we shall investigate. And then nothing happens. This is what our neighbors are going through right now. So that election is going to be tough for the opposition.
Would you describe it as fair and fair so far?
I think, as a person who is outside, and I was only there for 2 weeks, I can't say everything, but I can tell you the observations I had on that time that I spent my time in Kampala, that the atmosphere was that the government had an advantage over the opposition. And this is the situation I observed. I don't know before and after, but from what I see is that it is many years behind where we were. And my prayer is that one way or the other, the thing I liked about the opposition candidates and the various, there were about 5 of them who were debating. They were bold. They were visionaries. They insisted we will participate. I saw Robert Kyagulanyi being stopped, and he says, you can bomb me, you can shoot me, but I'm going to address the people, including you, the police. And they tried to stop him, but I loved that energy. I really think that's the way Kenya did it. That's the way we pushed for multi-party democracy. People were jailed, people lost their lives, people pushed, and things changed. And I believe that the same pace should be maintained. Even in this country, democracy is such that you cannot just leave it. Look at what is happening in the States. There are many years, but then you can see people are clawing back on things. So democracy is something that you need to keep alive in terms of maintaining whatever you have, and keep reminding those office holders that you are not the alpha and omega. There are other opposing ideas, there are other different ideas, and we need to listen to each other. And I think Uganda has done it well. I will not say the same for Tanzania, because when you pull out candidates, when you say, oh, the elections are so bad, we pull out candidates, then you are doing what Matiba almost did, because what Matiba did in that time, he burnt his election. I remember I was a young person, but we were all in politics, student politics and all that. And a very serious leading candidate in the campaigns at that time against Moi, he took his voter's card and burnt it and said, these elections are not free and fair, let us not participate. And thank God, the likes of Mwai Kibaki, Wamalwa Kijana, Raila Odinga were there to say, we will push on. So unlike what happened in Tanzania, where they just left it, Uganda the opposition is there. Right. And they are pushing. And I hope they keep doing so that in whatever environment, we should have an alternative voice so that that nation can keep pushing forward.
This is a big discussion this week. The elections in Uganda happening on Thursday, the 15th. 2 days, actually, according to their papers, it's 1 day to go, and I'm assuming that is a day to the end of the official campaigns. 8 candidates for presidency. Of course, Yoweri Museveni, the incumbent, seeking a 7th term, 40 years in power. Robert Kyagulanyi, Bobi Wine, his biggest opposition. There's also Mafabi and Muntu, the top 4 candidates, the other 4 candidates as well. We will continue monitoring the events in Uganda, especially given what we saw in Tanzania late October last year. And we do hope that everything will go well. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll return back home and take a look at what's big issues around CBC placement to senior schools and whether or not people should go back to their own areas and study from there. We'll be discussing that. Then later on, we'll talk about ODM. You're watching Morning Cafe.
Excuses. It's time to rise, grind, and own your mornings. Join Coach Shadrach Omer every Monday to Friday from 5:30 to 6 a.m. only on TV 47. Full body workouts, zero equipment, maximum results. Start strong, stay strong. TV 47 Fitness with Coach Shadrach only on TV 47. Looking for the perfect way to kick off your weekend?
Pole. Hiyo ni salamu ya Mluya kabisa.
Tune in to Friday with Betty, the most exciting show on TV.
Betty, one tear gun. Betty, I don't know where this guy's going.
From the latest news and trends to unforgettable moments. Friday with Betty is your go-to show for a fabulous Friday night.
Theological, meteorologist. What is that word, Willis?
Tune in this and every Friday at 9 p.m. and let's make your Fridays unforgettable. Only on TV 47.
Less than 24 hours before the reopening of schools for grade 10 learners across the country, top senior schools remain under pressure to manage crowds, verify documents, and maintain order even as parents scramble to secure slots for their children. At Thika Boys High School, the pressure has reached record levels. While the government allocated 500 grade 10 slots to the school, more than 3,000 additional applications have been submitted by parents hoping for extra slots.
They have 67, 68, 70 points, but they have been admitted in schools that are far and secondary that are of lower caliber. That are not commensurate with the points that they have scored. And therefore the parents are feeling dissatisfied with where their sons have been posted. And they are crowding around our gates. They are crowding in our offices, trying to seek for places. But now we have enough for our school, and therefore we are not able to help them.
A similar situation is unfolding at neighboring Chania Boys High School, where parents have been streaming into the school daily in search of last-minute admission opportunities.
At the gate, we have more than 3,000 applicants. We have files and files of students who want to join, but we cannot be able to pick them because of the space.
School officials say they are struggling to cope with the overwhelming numbers, with offices crowded by anxious parents requesting reconsideration. Many cite proximity to home, academic performance, and affordability as reasons for seeking transfers.
If you did not get a chance to come to Chani High School or Thika High or Alliance High School, have faith in the school that is near you, the day school that is near you, because not all students will fit in a boarding school.
The Ministry of Education has, however, urged parents to adhere to official placements, warning that late transfers disrupt school planning and could affect government funding, teacher deployment, and infrastructure management. Andrin Kilemi, TV 47.
Yes, a big debate this week with 1.13 million learners transitioning to senior school. This is the very first cohort of CVE learners. But debate has been rife about the shortage of facilities, the shortage of teachers, and it has taken a political angle with quite a number of parents eager to have their learners proceed to C1 schools, what was traditionally referred to as national schools. That debate has ignited political discussions about whether political leaders in all areas of this country have done their bit in ensuring that schools are up to the level where many learners would want to go. And that is where we want to start this discussion on education today, even as we anticipate the reporting to schools of this more than 1 million learners. Allow me to introduce to the panel two more people. Wakili Ishmael Nyaribo, advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana. It's your first time on this panel this year, so Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too, thank you.
Joshua Nyamori at least was here last week, also advocate of the High Court. Karibu sana, Wakili. It's good to have you back. Let me start with you, and I'm sure you've heard this debate about watu warudi wasomee kwao. But it boils down to just the number of facilities we have and the demand for the same. It may have sounded off, depending on who you support in this debate, but there is some weight to the fact that we all seem to be scrambling for very few schools, despite the numbers seemingly rising every year. Wakili Nyamori, let's start with you. Do you see the validity of that debate on the fact that some politicians have not done their bit in ensuring that even the schools in their area are up to date?
You see, grade 10 entry is part of the reform in our education sector. And therefore, as we roll out this stage of the reforms, there's bound to be challenges here and there, teething problems that I believe are being handled. And the government has, handled it fairly well by introducing, a fair automized system for placement. There have been challenges with certain parents feeling that their children may have not been placed in schools that they wanted, but they've had an opportunity to appeal. There is also the most important thing that the government has then released funding to schools early, even before the schools opened, and therefore there's no crisis in maintenance of schools. And then the fact that the government has employed 76,000 teachers and committed to employ 24,000 more teachers. For me, that is critical. About the politics introduced by the impeached former deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua, I can just say it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate because there was good reason why students are admitted to different parts of the countries. Because as young people grow, it is important that they interact with fellow Kenyans at that young, youthful age, to be able to learn different cultures, to be able to learn different environments, to be able to, globalize their characters. Mm-hmm. And so it is not specifically a matter of lack of facilities in certain areas. I know that even northern Kenya, there are national schools. I think there is Gabula or something, high school, which is a national school. And so my my point is, as a nation, we should, discourage such inflammatory messages, because my daughter, for instance, my sister, and now my daughter and my nephew have learned at Alliance High School. To access Alliance High School, you have to go through villages. I shudder at the possibility that from the inflammatory messages that have been given, one day children going to Alliance High School will be confronted by Mungiki at the gate, telling them that that school belongs only to the local communities.
And that's an extreme...
The point that then you raised on whether the certain leaders have failed to build schools in their regions, my view is that is possible. The schools facilities are not enough, and we need to still invest quite a bit in that. But we cannot use that to justify negative ethnicity, especially against Kenyan youth.
It is expected that at least every county has 2 schools at that level of C1. Yet we see that parents still demand that their children go to certain schools in certain regions, probably located in Western Kenya, Nyanza, and a bit of Mount Kenya region. It would be ideal, and I think this is the argument that has been raised, that all these other schools are developed to the same level, such that a learner from Mount Kenya would be able to go to Garbatula, which is the only name that you can point in northeastern region about a school. Don't you think that argument is valid? That all leaders need to work to a certain level so that anyone can go to any school?
Yeah, I think, Fred, I think before we attack the former deputy president, I mean, we can come to that and debate his usual way of talking, but I think sometimes he introduces, quite important issues for debate, at least for debate purposes. Let me tell you, in a certain village in Nyamira, there is a school called Nyakongo High School. Nyakongo High School sent all kids to university. My problem is, who built that school? Did national finances sponsor building of that school? The answer is no. And there are so many small schools I can mention in the villages that have been built by the villagers themselves, by local efforts. Then you turn to Alliance High School. Who built it? Was it built by the local people in Kikuyu area? Limuru, whatever you want to say. Then you turn to Mango High School. Was it built by the locals per se? Or it was assisted quickly by state funds? And I think that's where the debate bites. There are schools that have been favored by being given huge sums from the treasury, so that they can come up to the national status, as we call them. And there are small schools which have not been assisted by any funds, in fact, not even the county. Local communities have come together, local professionals teamed up and decided they want to help the children, and then they succeed. So when we talk about accessing schools just because they are within your local area, but actually they have been heavily funded by the government, then of course you are disenfranchising kids who are coming from the villages, who also are entitled to that national cake. But in terms of who should build the schools, I think then Gachagua is right. We cannot all be looking at the capital when now we have devolution, when now people should actually, support their local schools. They should support them. They should build them. They should not steal from them and then have their children, flown out of the country or sent to Alliance, for that matter. So it is not a very nice talk to say at this time and age that people should be enclaved in their local area. But it is also an issue for states to start looking at this picture in a bigger way. What should we spend so much money in 10 or 20 schools, or should we simply equalize the fund so that every school accesses its quota for the purpose of developing their local schools? Yes.
Okay. All right. It is a quality of schools that we have, and Dr. Mungatana, even in Tana River, we have schools like Tarasa, which are famous, and I'm guessing it's up to the level of C1 probably. But the kind of interest, if it was at C1 level, that Tarasa would invite from a parent probably in Western Kenya to have their child go there is not as much as these other schools. Do you agree that this is a kind of debate we should be having? and the place of local leadership in developing such schools to that level to encourage interest. Don't you think that probably that's a debate we should be having?
Thank you very much. First of all, I wanted to take this opportunity to congratulate Hola Boys and Ngao Girls Secondary School, national schools. In Tana River County, they have managed to send a high number. Even Mau Mau Secondary, which has not been doing well in the past, has done very well this time. So I want to say that being in a county like Tana River or being in a county like Nairobi, if a student is doing his bit, and if a student is doing the best he can, he will still go to university. He will still make it. I mean, in our time, it would be different because like maybe Tarasa High School that you have just mentioned would send maybe 1 or 2 students, you know, maximum 5, you know. And for us, I went to school in Ngao, Rapmo Ngao Primary School. And then I went to Alliance High School because I scored very high. And the system then, we did Certificate of Primary Education, CPE. It would pick the highest performing students and take them to the national schools, what we are calling C1 now. And in those days, you wait for your father to come with the letter. And they used to display them at the provincial education office. I remember for me, my father was living in Mombasa, so it was during holidays and we went to stay there. And my father came, and for the first time, by the way, I had not seen him laugh or smile for a very long time. But for the first time, he came with a letter and his nation newspapers and was smiling. And he told me that he went to collect the letter and I was at the top in the entire Coast Province because I scored 35 out of 36 possible. So in those days, the system was different. And very few people who went to local schools will go to university. But nowadays, the system has changed. You can be in your local school, and if you're putting the effort, you still go to study your law, study your medicine, study your architecture, study your computer science, and all these other, studying your nursing, and all these other, you know, professions that you want. I mean, I've just mentioned in Tana River, now we are sending very large numbers of students to the university. So I think what we need to agree is that there are challenges. This is the first cohort of the curriculum-based, competency-based curriculum that is going to senior school. And then again, when you look at how this KJSEA, they say it's KJSEA or something, I'm not used to it yet. It is different from what came after us, even this 844. Because 844, it was exam-based. It filtered so many students by the performance of that final exam. But this one, from year 7, year 8, year 9, you are collecting, how you are performing and what. Your marks are combined and everything. So by the time you are in year 10, your results are not as a product of one exam. It's a whole thing, a whole 3 years. So it's not as competitive as the former, our system, our old system, or even the 844 system that followed our system. It's not exam-based. So you can see it's 100% transition. And the facilities are the same. You know, previously they used to filter, but now they are the same, and it is 100% transition. So you can imagine the pressure that is there. I really feel it for the parents in my county, Tana River. Many of them are having the same issues that are being discussed here today, and in other parts of the county, of the country. But I want to say this again, that what Gachagua has done is to introduce an interesting discussion around the issues here. And I would say that this is the reason I keep saying opposition is good for this country. because it always helps us to, you know, look aside and then say what is happening and then what can we do about the situation that is there. What he's saying is that let those people who are be admitted in their places. And I think this is what is being driven. Many people are saying, let us admit as much as possible where I can afford. I think most parents, at least in my county, that's what they are doing. But the other issue about the negative bit of that argument that says that northern frontier schools, northern, eastern, and all those other places, they should develop their places and stop looking at these other places. I think that one is a bit, it's unfortunate.
Is it fair criticism for any political leader who fails to use probably CDF or any other funds to develop a school in their region while others are doing the same? Is it fair criticism?
It is. I mean, if you say we have CDF, the same amount of CDF, and you say that I'm developing my schools this way, and this one is developing his school, is not developing or is not doing much, it's fair criticism. But you see, where that argument of Gachagua fails is it's not appreciating where people are starting. The starting point is like saying, let's do 100 meters, and then all of us are given the same resources. Remember, I'm not a member of parliament, so I'm not a National Assembly person, so I'm not in that CDF category. But all of them, I know, they get around the same amount of money. So you are saying, let's do 100 meters race. But this constituency that has received government favors for over the years is at the middle, is already at 50. You are at 10, you see, and you're supposed to run the same race. So for me, I think the argument fails in the fact that it's not factoring in the fact that sessional paper number 10 of 1965 allocated deliberately, government allocated money to areas to give them what they call high potential areas. So for me, I would urge equalization. So what do I mean? I say that let the principle of people should, as much as possible, stay in their places, should be supported, but so must government make a deliberate effort to build infrastructure in those areas.
Bwana Pogisho, of course, many may assume that most of the national schools are just in Mount Kenya region, but some of the best schools are in Western Kenya and in Nyanza, and quite a lot there. What is the disconnect here, if at all there's the equalization funds? Some of these leaders have been there for quite a long time, and you come from a marginalized area. What is the challenge here?
Fred, we have to realize that we are transitioning into a system that we don't quite understand well. The CBC is not really mature enough for us to begin to even criticize it or to comment on it, because I have followed the education system in this country from the days when we did the East African certificate, okay? Then it came to Kenya certificate and so on and so on. To this day, the numbers of students churned out of our primary schools is mind-boggling. I mean, when Mungatana was talking about being in school, I'm sure from Tana River there were very few who went to secondary school, the entire Tana River. But today, they are in their hundreds of thousands.
It's actually 1.1 million.
So you can imagine, we should be thinking of that entity together, 1.1 million, and plan for them without caring where they come from. My argument has been, if you establish a secondary school in West Pokot, that secondary school should look like the one in Tana River, so that we don't have to worry about where the child goes. If you are allocating teachers, the number of teachers, the number of facilities should correspond to the level of education. But now, because of the unfairness of this country, the way we distribute resources in this country, if you are in charge of whatever ministry that has the money allocating to the schools, you'll find that you're giving advantage to so many other places and disadvantaging others. And that's why the local leaders are complaining that our children need to be exposed to a certain level of education, a certain level of the quality of education. Just this week, we were sitting with the president of this country. He came to West Pokot, and we're discussing the areas which have no teachers completely. These areas, you'll find that there's 1 or 2 teachers in the entire school. And we expect those kids to actually finish and come and participate in competitions, national exams. And he was very supportive. He said he will try and give those teachers. But why should we have to go to the president to get teachers?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is what the Minister of Education needs to know, where the deficits are, where there are no labs. I mean, surely there are schools with no laboratories and they're sitting these exams, no facilities. So I think when we look at the entire picture, we should, of 1-point-something million children, let's plan for them as our children together. Those who have no teachers, let's make sure this allocation of teachers goes there. Do you know there are schools actually with teachers more than they need? There are schools. And you know that. There are schools who have teachers they don't even need. Some of them are now doing their job is just to do whatever other jobs you can. Because there are too many teachers. There are schools that have no teachers. So why can't we make it a point that if you say we are establishing a school like, by the way, I must congratulate the performance of KCSE by schools in West Pokot, because this time you'll see them, that doing very well. Mm-hmm. But I'm very surprised that the schools actually with less facilities are churning out more students to universities. Surprisingly, they're doing better than the schools which are in the highway. And that means their determination is to perform. You'll hear a name like Asilong, Karon, you'll hear names like, Atartar and so on. They are getting children out to the universities. So I don't like the argument that our children must necessarily be taken out, to other parts of the country to get a better education. We can bring that better education.
But the challenge now is on the level of facilities.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, because in the advent of devolution, one would have imagined that would be the case. But then again, education is not a devolved function. And interestingly, the late Raila Odinga was even suggesting that education should actually be devolved. Do you think that would be a remedy to the kind of lack of equity we see?
The discussion about going back to our constitution and going to discuss those issues, going back to that's something for another day, because you devolve education, because right now equalization funds cannot be used for education. Mm-hmm. You see, and yet that is actually what they should be going for. How do you equalize without education? I mean, now you find equalization funds are going to roads, they're going to this and that. That is not how you equalize people. Education should be the place where you actually cause equalization to happen. Mm-hmm. And if you build good schools, you attract students from everywhere. So I agree sometimes with the argument that let's develop our schools to attract other people to come. Mm-hmm. Because now, going to Alliance, by the way, the desire to go to our former national schools is going to end very soon. After this KCSE, there will be no need to desire to go to a national school. Mm-hmm. You see, so that desire will end. So let's build the schools which are at home, so we can attract even people from outside to come to our schools. But the priority should be, and sometimes you argue about tribalism and nepotism and so on, but somebody like, you hear the arguments that these are our schools, don't come to them. And that argument is really hollow, mm-hmm. because they were built by our funds, all of us. If they were built by church, the church is not yours. If they were built by government, the government should, it's our resources, it's our national resources. Mm-hmm. So, and I want to argue with, to support the decision that it's very unfair to look at some MPs who are building schools which are better than others, and they have the same amount of money. Mm-hmm. And we must set that standard. If you're going to build a school, you must build a school of this set, of design. of this quality, and what goes in the school to qualify must be this and that and that, so that our children...
So it is a valid criticism towards leaders for their failure?
It is, yeah.
Okay.
To some extent, it is. Yeah.
All right.
Fred, if I talk about Singapore, sorry.
Yes.
And I think the children have done well to move us closer to Singapore, by the way, because, in fact, many of them, unbelievably, have actually passed. So and I think also there is a Bible that says, in the last days there shall be, knowledge shall increase.
Increase of knowledge.
So I think even State House should understand that now Kenyans are more smart. So that when we create policies now, they should be fair policies. We all even know what is a fair policy. So the issue of anybody interfering with the Minister for Education should stop. The ministry should be blamed fully for any, schools that are not developed properly and for those that are overtly developed, so that we all know where we are going, instead of, secretly and overtly trying to micromanage a ministry, not only for education, but all ministries.
All right.
So I think, it's high time that governance should now be left to run in the right direction without trying to over-influence it. And I'm going back to the same thing Pogisho has mentioned about going to beg State House for a particular basic facility. As much as we have less facilities and resources that need to be managed in a certain way, the direction to Singapore should be let institutions run by themselves.
Right. I want to finish this debate, but Wakili Nyamori, you wanted to add something here, briefly.
For me, I would want to disagree with my learned friend. The point is, the presidency will remain the vision bearer in this country. And so the presidency will be the point at which, we have the melting pot of ideas from across the country. And you see, he will be the leader of policy in government. And so there is nothing wrong with various, stakeholders conversing with the president on implementation of government policies across the road, because in any case, the president is there to lead and direct the various ministries on what they're doing. So in matters of education, this is the president who has taken a bold step. Some of the challenges that we thought were going to cripple education in this country, he actually took bold steps to ensure that they are tackled. The issue of the university funding, the issue of transitioning into the CBC properly without challenges, the issue of employment of teachers, the issue of expanding infrastructure. What has been done in this phase is actually unprecedented. Yes. So we must give credit to the presidency and allow the presidency to get involved. We had complained in this country at some point of presidency that was not available. We have a presidency that is available and is engaging in policy and engaging in programs.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yes, the debate is about the placement of learners in senior schools. They are reporting starting this week, 1.13 million learners in total transitioning to senior schools, and the government says it has 100% transition, but there are challenges here and there. Some learners finding themselves placed in schools way too far from their homes and their day schools. Plus, of course, the preference of many learners and parents for their learners to go to certain schools, Alliance, Mangu High School and others, and the politics that has been generated. Do you think leaders should be held accountable? And as far as the level of infrastructure, education infrastructure development in their areas of jurisdiction. That will continue being a big discussion. I want us now to move to politics. And ODM has simply refused to leave the headlines. On the front page of the Standard, it's about Junet Mohammed, the Suna East MP, and talk over a slap or an altercation, for that matter, that happened in State House. An apparent altercation. The story is on page 4. State House slap exposes Junet's troubles in ODM as cracks widen. It's the cracks we are focusing on. Now it's the leadership of the party. There is a big discussion. It's on the front page of Taifa Leo, also on the front page of the Daily Nation. ODM convenes meeting amid Oburu ouster plot. The political infighting within the Orange Democratic Movement has escalated, and today they're going to be holding a retreat at the coast for a meeting that could either calm the simmering tensions or intensify them ahead of the 2027 election. We do have a story, ODM factions in open power struggle. If we can have that story to set the stage for our discussion. It is a story filed here at TV47 on ODM factions in open power struggle, the power struggles within ODM. If that story is ready, we can have it. Otherwise, we can just continue the conversation here and start with Senator Mungatana. We were talking about parties last week. We're still talking about parties. ODM is a big party. It takes a lot of funding from the taxpayer. We cannot ignore what is going on within ODM. What do you make of this, the widening cracks? And the question many are asking is, will this party be intact come 2027? Now, Oburu Odinga is being challenged in his position as party leader, and this is coming from leaders from the coastal region.
Yes, last week our colleagues, members of parliament and some senators, they held a meeting, who are ODM. They held a meeting in Mombasa, and it was a meeting that was chaired by Honorable Hassan Ali Joho. And they raised the issue that ODM has got a very good, has been enjoying massive support in the coast region, the 6 counties of the coast region. And it's unfair for these discussions about the new leadership to take place without the involvement of Ali Hassan Joho, who until his appointment as CS, he was the deputy party leader, one of the deputy party leaders. And they made the point that if nothing is going to be done about that, they are going to look for an alternative way, which was pointing towards establishing a different political party. And in other words, related to ODM, they were officially saying that we are going to create a faction of ODM. And this is significant in terms of the discussion around ODM, because if Coast leaves, and now you see Western has its problems with ODM, because again, Western is having its own local political parties and local movements that are taking shape. And then if they go, and these ones, the Coast goes, then we have potentially a problem of reducing ODM to a local party in Nyanza. So the party leader has a very difficult task of managing the politics and the egos around it. I know that Dr. Oburu, who is our chair in the Senate Energy Committee, is a very good man, and he means well. But I don't know how he's going to tackle these challenges. These challenges are real, because a lot of people are feeling it's our turn, you know. Nyanza, through party leader Raila, has been, controlling the party for a long time. So it's either I should go to the side of Oparanya or I should go to the side of Ali Hassan Joho. This is Western, or the Coast. Other people are saying, no, I am more popular. These people in Nairobi, they're saying we are the ones who are more popular now. So what would be the answer? According to me, and I have made this point again before, that political parties in Kenya need to take a different direction. We need to depersonalize political parties. We need to run political parties like corporates. Safaricom has had several CEOs. Safaricom has had change of the board or chair and the board members. Kenya Power and Lighting, same with companies like Kenya Breweries, and they are still there. They are still trading in the stock market. They are still employing people. They are still getting new talent. So I think what Dr. Oburu Odinga needs to do is to find a way in which he will settle the egos that are around, surrounding the political party called ODM. And my prayer is that they will create a system that will allow for succession that is depersonalized, which means they must have elections somehow.
But interestingly,
must have elections.
If you look at that issue around the coast and the politics around coast, what kind of effect would this have if at all a politician from the coast region takes over the running of this party, or the coast region breaks away from ODM? What kind of effect would it have?
It would reduce the strength that ODM had initially. So it would fractionize. I mean, it would break the party, because the moment a big section of the party says we are walking away, it will be like dominoes. Other people will walk away. Others will walk away. Even the ones in Nairobi will walk away. The ones in Nyanza will walk away. People will feel, if I'm not at the top, I need to go away and be at the top in my own small little pond. So my take would be, they must put in the structures. You know, let those leaders from Nairobi, from the traditional areas of support, from Nyanza, from Western and Coast, let them sit, let them craft something. And maybe it's not right to have an election now because we are too near the general election, but let the national management bite the bullet and accommodate everybody to the satisfaction of everyone. And then after that, they should have an election process, because unlike corporates where the board is decided by the shareholding, here it is just elections. So they must have an election, no matter how difficult that will be. They should plan for it so that people can have natural and expected succession.
Yet that has never been the design of a party like ODM. Probably KANU had that kind of structure, but ODM, in all their attempts to have elections, they've never been successful, and they depended solely on the party leader. Even in the appointment or nomination of the current party leader, it was their own process, not really an election. Do you think that what Senator Mungatana suggests is possible at this time, given the fact that we are only about 20 months to elections?
Yeah, Fred, the ODM party is faced with unprecedented problems. Completely, they've never faced something like this. I think that the person of Raila Amolo Odinga, he just carried everybody. He just naturally took where he was, and he carried everybody, was able to manage. And I've said it here that when we lost Raila Amolo Odinga, ODM should have realized that they've actually lost half of their life. And what they're operating now is a struggle to bring back whatever is lost, just through that process alone. It's not going to be easy for ODM, because the magnet, the superstructure of the party is no longer stable because of the loss of their party leader. Whatever you do now, you have to agree, and I agree with the Senator here, to bite the bullet is to say, we want to hold this party. Don't bring in elections even now. I don't think you should. Anything that will split you, that will divide you, please don't bring it now. Because if you do it, that's the end of the party. The party will go into pieces. And this is a party that I admired for many years. Never became a member of it, but admired it. Because they have held the party for 20 years, which doesn't happen in Kenya. It's the oldest political party after KANU, and the strongest political party. And so you'd find that you need this kind of parties to survive in this country. We don't want to kill KANU, we don't want to kill ODM. We need parties like this that persist, because the Kenyans then can have a way of saying, I have been a member of a party for at least. You know, right now, there are many people who don't keep a party for a year. It's just one time they're gone, one time they're gone. So we have this political situation where we must be present. Then you have a case like this one of Junet Mohammed, a central figure in the party, now being torn to pieces because of the way he has behaved, and everybody now talking about how they feared him, how they, and how he ran the party, the iron hand, and so on, so on. And now, that hand he had was directly given by the party leader. Now that there's no party leader, Junet Mohammed and others like him are exposed. They are now exposed. They didn't have the strength, the strength in themselves. It came from someone else. So you'll have a situation like this can split the party straight away. Then you have the situation of the party leader. Once you begin to attack the party leader and criticize the party leader and move to even remove him, that's another source of conflict that's going to split the party. So the desires to hold this party together is compromised already. And then there's another challenge. It's now the broad-based government is another challenge. It used to be that the party leader would say, you are going to join the broad-based, now we are all fighting to see who can go in there. And that is another source of conflict for the party. So with all these things together, the chances of ODM surviving are just completely gone. They're gone. And so who is going to hold this together? I've seen that Ida has tried to come in to try and calm the waters, the storm. But it's not easy. It's not easy. So what's going to happen? And the assignment has been given, I heard the other day, the assignment given by the president, UDA party saying, hey, we want to work together, but you guys, take control of yourselves and deliver so that we can actually work together. So that assignment is another source of conflict. Okay. How do we move? How do we go about it?
Yes.
So the party is in dire straits, if I may say, at the moment, requiring an intervention which is not there.
Yes, and many people are seeing the kind of weakness and cracks. One of them is Eliud Owalo, former CS for ICT. He was serving as Deputy Chief of Staff Delivery for President William Ruto. He resigned from that position yesterday and declared that he's running for president. And one of the things he said is that things have changed. The days when loyalty and psychophancy was to one person, those have ended. People are already seeing this. From Nyanza, do you agree that we are seeing the last days of ODM party as we knew it?
That's me?
Yes, okay.
Yeah, I think that's just, I don't think that ODM was built in such foundations that everybody could speak the way they want. The ODM party was built around Raila Odinga. And at some point, people were saying, is it a family affair? I mean, are we free to speak? And after his demise, you could see a lot of people going different directions. And I agree entirely with Honorable Pogisho when he says that he didn't say this in his own words, but this is how I am couching it. The possibility of ODM existing, as it were, beyond Raila Odinga, that possibility seems to be less than 1%, because people want to feel how they felt when Raila was there. People want to be governed the way Raila governed them, but there is no one person who can fit in the shoes of Raila Odinga, not even his elder brother Oburu Odinga. So that's why you would see, and without trying to introduce the unseen forces within the family itself, they have a big issue in terms of they have a big decision to make, whether to accommodate and take in Oburu Odinga as the leader of their party, the party of, their former, a head of the, can say, not the family, but the luminary of the family, Raila Odinga. I don't think they have settled on that. When you look at the comments from Ida herself and Winnie, and I don't see that. And as I say, my panel said, there are complex issues, whether it is Western Coast, within the party, NDC, there are complex issues. Even the attack on Junet, it is not the first time ODM funds actually were being squandered. If you look at the former leaders within the ODM, whether you talk about 2017 elections, there were issues. The people mandated with, managing the funds, they were always accused that, you were given this money, you did not give us the money to pay either agents or other services. So a possibility of ODM existing beyond Raila Odinga is really minimal. What does it mean when the head of state then, the UDA party, comes up and says, we want to work with you? But you know very well, Fred, for those of us who understand politics behind the screen, the intention to have ODM go even with UDA strongly as co-partners is nil. The whole intention here is either we come in and control the whole party, or you guys join us and we control you. So the possibility of also having ODM come together and work with UDA as a co-partner is also nil. What is going to happen over here is the old system is going to try to remain with the broad-based government. The new emerging leaders are actually going to walk out, and they will walk out with the largest number of people within ODM.
Wakili Nyamori, what do you make of Eliud Owalo's bid for presidency, or his declaration that he's going to run for presidency? Don't you think that this is a direct reflection on the strength that ODM currently wields within the greater Nyanza region?
I watched Eliud's resignation yesterday, and my understanding the base that he stands on, and is that I don't think that resignation is consequential in any way, both at the local and at the national level, because Eliud has no base that he would rely on. He has no movement that is leading. He has no coalition that is gravitating around him. So basically, Eliud was an individual given responsibility at the national level by the president, and which responsibility, in my view, he has betrayed. Betrayed a trust that the president gave him, because both to the president, to the nation, and even to the base, the Luo base, all that was expected of him is service delivery, is accountability, is longevity in the state. If you look at the debate that is going on in especially Luo Nyanza right now, it is that we have been in government for out of government for a long time. We need to get back to the core of government. And so those of us who are in government should entrench themselves, even as we look for more space within government. So when one of us is given a responsibility at the core, knowing that very well that his political future out of that space is not viable, then he abandons that space. That is a betrayal of the trust by the president and by the people. So I don't think it will go anywhere. Be that as it may, I think you have also brought in the issue of ODM. And then I want to persuade those who are debating ODM right now to stop looking at it as a political structure governed by the Political Parties Act, but more or less look at it as a movement that was led by a vision bearer who was Raila Odinga, but who then demised. The question is then, what then happens? And when you look at Raila Odinga's movement, it goes beyond the formation of ODM in 2006. Raila had been part of politics for a very long time, and apart from that, had worked with very many people. And he also, inherited a big chunk of the political structure, the political vision, and goodwill from his own father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. Now, I look at what is going on around ODM right now as what went on in Ford, Kenya during the demise of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga. And my view is that the chasm, the conflict is a necessary dialectic for both the synthesis and both the thesis and antithesis in ODM. And when I talk about thesis in ODM, the thesis is that Raila Odinga left him in ODM. There's an antithesis that feel that they should leave the government and go back to the streets and try their fate with the opposition. Mm-hmm. And that this is a necessary dialectic, so that the clash would then result in harmony, in synthesis. And in my view, looking at the fact that the party then quickly, immediately after Raila's passing on, settled on a very stable hand. And I keep telling people that Honorable Buro, I'm not a member of ODM, but I grew up in ODM. I even served as an official in ODM. But then I tell people that Honorable Buru has been the longest in that movement. He spent actually more time, because he spent time with Jaramogi even when Raila was in jail. And then he has been with Raila for 8 years, longer than even Aida Odinga. My point is that Oburu represents the vision that that Raila had. He may be a little bit laid back, but I keep telling people that I knew, for instance, that Raila would consult everybody. But before he goes to bed, what he would do the following day is what Honorable Buru tells him. In fact, what people should know, and Honorable Buru has alluded to it recently, is that the broad-based idea was not actually Raila Odinga's idea. It was Oburu's idea. It's Honorable Buru who negotiated it. So I think there is a stable hand in Honorable Buru. But even as I said that there's a stable hand, I think that Raila Odinga, knowing that there would be a gap in case of his absence, left his group aligned to the president, and left them under this framework, the broad-based framework. And I think the president has opened up and spoken to the ODM team and told them, strengthen your party. I am strengthening my party. And the president was at the grassroots voting for officials of UDA in the process that is strengthening UDA the same. So my point is that out of this thing, I'm thinking that there are few rebels that may probably leave, okay? But I'm thinking that the movement, considering that UDA also emerged from a split between, in ODM previously, would be a bigger political vehicle that would then face election in 2027. And so in terms of, I may not say what shape the political party will take, but I'm thinking that Raila's vision, Raila's constituency will find space around President William Ruto. Finally, that, even as we talk about ODM, you know that various regions are actually engaging with the president directly. So ultimately, I see a big chunk of ODM within the broad-based government, even as we go into 2020.
Even without necessarily being in ODM, like the Coast region, for example. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm giving you only about a minute and a half because our time is up. A minute and a half for your final comments, then Bwana Pogisio. If you'll allow me, I'll give the two final words, then we wrap up.
So you're saying the final word now?
Yes.
Well, I wanted to comment about Eliud Owalo's whatever, and that might be my closing comment as well. I just wanted to say that it is beautiful when people are ambitious, and we as Kenyans must encourage it. I have told many people in Tana River, including those who have wanted to run for Senate, because I'm going to run for Senate again, and somebody came to me and told me, I feel like I want to run, but I wanted to know if you are going to run. I told him, run, because you never know that the ideas you have might be better than mine. And it should be that way. We should nurture that. We should encourage our young people, and even if they are old, but young politically, to come to our space. What happens is, if I'm the incumbent and you have good ideas, I will rekebisha myself so that I be a better person and try to sell or serve better. And it is good. It's a way of making the system work. You know, in olden days, people used to make changes. You know, even kings were actually planned to die because they needed fresh people to come. You know, in olden and in some customs, it was actually planned that the king would do this number of years and they would eliminate him so that new persons come. So I think we should look at it in this. He may not, I don't think Owalo would really have any national impact, because you need to grow into these positions. You can't wake up today and say you are Kalonzo Musyoka. You can't wake up today and you say you're William Ruto. You cannot, you are differently, made, and people have earned this stature. So, but begin somewhere, and we encourage. We should not be the people who say, no. You want to run for governor, we stress you, or MP, you stress him. No, tell them to come. Okay. Let's have the new ideas. Let the debates go on. Let us be better informed, and those who win may have improved if they are the same incumbents, or if you are a new person who comes up, the country and the people who are served will be. So I'm asking Kenyans to look at every person who is going to be declaring, because the declarations will be many, from president all the way to MCAs. Please welcome these people and let us nurture this kind of, this kind of thing for the betterment of our nation.
Thank you, Dr. Mugatara. I only have a minute for your final comment.
Let me congratulate the president of this country, William Ruto. I had a chance to go to a meeting this last week in the Kerio Valley, and he and his minister for interior have managed to pacify that area. For the first time, Christmas was enjoyed by everybody. There was no conflict. And I think they have succeeded. That's what I'm saying. And when somebody succeeds, you say congratulations for them. For the same reason that he decided to support the idea of West Pokot having a university. And for that, I must congratulate him. I was in the area of Karamoja, and the same thing is happening there. The president of Uganda is setting a university in Karamoja. And then in Turkana, I see this place is opening up, and I want to congratulate the presidents for that kind of thing. Just wish them very well, and that there will be peace, continuous peace in the Kerio Valley area, which has been really missing for a long time. So, for the first time, students did the exams without any disruption. That is something I can congratulate anyone for. Thank you very much.
Asante sana. Samuel Pogisio, who served as ICT Minister in the Kibaki II administration, also as Majority Leader in the Senate in the 12th Parliament. He's been a Senator for West Pokot and MP for Kachiliba. Dr. Danson Mungatana, Senator Tana River County, thank you so much for your time here. And Wakili Ishmael Nyaribo, also Wakili Joshua Nyamori, our panelists this morning on State of the Nation. Big discussions, matters education, politics, especially around ODM, and even the elections in Uganda that are coming up on Thursday this week, a big discussion across the region. Once again, the dailies, why we won't be joining grade 10. Remember, the very first cohort of CBE learners transitioning to senior school. Junet's rough ride, ODM, shida mingi kule ndani ya hiyo chama. It is also the big one on the front page of Taifa Leo. Landowners' eye windfall as 48 billion shilling has been set aside for the SGR. Kama you have land along that line, wait for a boom. And poor diets take 400 billion shillings toll on Kenya's economy, matters, nutrition. Those are the dailies this morning. Ladies and gentlemen, that's the State of the Nation. My name is Freddie Ndimuli. Good morning.